Okay, let's try that again. Sorry about that, guys. Let's try that again. So, really quick, let's see if it'll work now. What the hell, man? All right, whatever. He'll see it eventually. Okay, so I'm going live today with my friend Dave, who is going to talk about 5G and common law / natural law, which is basically like, if you guys have heard about the systems of like, there's the corporate United States and then there's the Republic, and how like, you're a sovereign citizen under God, not under man. So if you can like detach from this satanic system that we are like trapped in with our birth certificate and social security card and all that crap. So there's like a way to get out of that and into the Republic of the United States and still be like a normal functioning citizen. So, okay, cool. I think he sees it. Perfect.
Hey,
Hey,
Jackie.
Dave. Thanks for coming on.
No
Everyone's
problem.
already excited. There's lots of hearts going.
Sweet. Yeah,
Cool. So,
nice to meet you.
yeah, you too. Yeah. So I had seen you on Ben's live. Ben went on like a whole marathon with his off-grid bundle.
Right.
And so I was like super intrigued by you because, I haven't seen anyone in the Instagram space talk about natural law, which I'm making the assumption and I shouldn't, but is that the same as common law?
It's a little different. It's kind of the root of common law, is my understanding. And if you want to get educated on that, or if your followers want to, they can look up a YouTube video by Mark Passio. You want to know the Hermetic principles of natural law first, which is kind of the foundations of natural law. And these are kind of the governing principles of the multiverse for men and women. So there's mentalism where it starts, and then there's polarity and gender and correspondence and vibration. Just these things that kind of govern consciousness, govern they're laws of morality, more or less, but also just the way things karmically work as well. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so the energy you give off comes back to you, and everyone's heard of that sort of with the law of what is it? What is that one book? Um, yeah. Anyways, and then you could just research Mark Passio's lecture. It's like a 3-hour lecture on natural law. That's a good way to start. Good place to start.
Okay, cool. And I know I definitely want to get into like the 5G and like you do Orgonite and all that good stuff. So that is very valuable information that I would love for people to learn about. I talk EMFs on my page a lot, and I sell like a radiation detox zeolite. I'm sure you've heard of it. So,
Good.
and
Yeah.
I'm familiar with I think a decent amount of it. I just got a new toy yesterday. If you've seen one of
Oh, good.
these.
Yeah, I see a lot of people getting that tri-field model. I have the older tri-field model. Yeah,
Okay.
those are
This
good.
one's still good though, right?
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Yeah, those are the one I have is more for home, for like checking your walls and smart meters and stuff. I don't know if that one's the best one for cell towers. I think there's another model that you want to get for actual cell towers that measures that a little better. But that's a quality one. Tri-field's good. Yeah,
Good, because it was not cheap. So
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. But that'll be
um
helpful around the house for sure.
yeah, my mom and I spent like literally 45 minutes yesterday like going around the house, just like every little outlet. We're like like the turning on
Yeah,
the microwave, we were having fun with it. So
it's crazy. I do Zoom calls with clients, like consulting them for, like, what's your situation, and I think a lot of people could use an EMF detector first, just to figure out where these hot spots are in your home. But some people have like these crazy radiation poisoning symptoms, and they're not really sure what's going on, even when they're driving. A lot of people have electric cars now. And at their workspace, if they're in their office or
even if you
whatever.
don't have an electric car, your car is a metal box, so it's
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
dangerous either way. Yeah. So
Planes,
so
giant
how did you get
aluminum.
started in learning all that?
Well, let's see. it was probably around 2014 when I was introduced to Orgonite by a friend, and I just kind of dug in and built what's called a chembuster, and then I really started researching the cell towers. You know, things are microwave military surveillance weapons. They're not just you know, to improve our communication. And there's healthier ways we could do it. We could communicate. There's healthier ways that we could bounce signals. We could use solar power and everything. But I just really started 2012 started awakening for going down rabbit holes, and just, you know, everyone had like that red pill moment where they started going into this higher level of consciousness and awakening, and that was a 2012 UFO sighting. I think I told Ben that, and that's what started mine. And then a couple years later, I got, you know, into changing diet, lifestyle, and then the cell towers, and realizing what kind of you know, threat those are to our existence. And now we know they're carcinogenic and create tumors, and it's very normalized, which is the crazy thing, because there's kids with like little kids walking around with tablets and stuff,
I know, it's
and on
terrible.
phones. You know, I'm seeing kids, like little kids, riding bikes around on phones, putting it up to their ear, and those will produce tumors cumulatively. You know,
Right, right.
so
Yeah, I can't even wear those AirPods anymore. Like I was recording there was like 1 week time where I recorded like 3 podcasts in a row, and I had them, you know, they're 2 hours long each, and I had those AirPods in, and by the end of the week, I mean, my head was like, I could feel like the electricity going through my brain, and I was like, this is so painful. I'm never wearing these damn things again.
yeah, I was talking to a client who had like tinnitus, and she's getting like vertigo and all these crazy symptoms from wearing those AirPods for her
You know,
work.
I hear
And
the vertigo also is coming from people that are not even not didn't get the injection, but are around people that got it, and
wow.
then they're
Mm,
getting the vertigo, and it's like
wow.
next level. Yeah, like that's terrifying. I mean, that sucks.
Yeah, if you're working around, yeah, a lot of people that have gotten it because of they want to keep their job, you know, and that's a really tough situation. So, you know,
So what?
there's
How do you? So you're the expert on protecting yourself from all this. So what do you? I know you make Orgonite. Tell us about that.
well, organize. Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of devices here I need to ship out. I make, you know, a lot of people craft Orgonite. I have a video if anyone wants to learn how to make just basic tower busters, because one thing we really all need to do is have tower busters, go place them at the bases of cell towers. And
Ooh, I like the way you think.
yeah, because, you know, we can't
Civil
this
disobedience.
yeah, I mean, this is kind of just peaceful non-compliance with that energy. You know, we can't tear them down, but we can flip the energy. And the best way I could describe how Orgonite works and what EMF is giving off is, just think about a cell tower or a smart meter. Okay, so they're going to be pulsing data. They're going to be pulsing information to the local other cell tower, and then that goes to the base station. It's all just pulsing information. And radio is short for radiation. So it used to be called radiation towers,
Oh
and
my
now
gosh,
it's
I never
not.
knew
Yeah. Now it's just radio towers. You know. And a really good read on this is The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. Whenever there's been increases in man-made EMF, from whether it's towers or radar or just higher frequencies, like with 5G now, there's always illnesses that pop up. Yeah, it's because our bodies are not connected. I'm sorry, they're not adjusted to these frequencies, so it takes time. So if you look back at a lot of our pandemics, I hate to even use that word, but yeah, it's just because everyone is being hit with these frequencies. Their body's not used to it. But our bodies are so amazing that they actually adapt
right.
over time. But the best way I can describe it is if you're a cell tower, you're a smart meter, you're pulsing data, radiation, radio waves. The energy around that is going to be dead, stagnant energy. It's going to be incoherent, chaotic. The energy field around that tower, right, or smart meter. So what Orgonite does is it takes that energy that's created by that, you know, by the radiation waves and everything. It takes that energy and pulls it in like a sponge, and or like an air filter would, pull in the surrounding energy and then purify it, and then kind of,
So is there
torch.
still signal when you use Orgonite?
Yeah. So it's just, think of EMF spewing things like cell towers and Wi-Fi, everything, Wi-Fi routers, microwaves. They just create a field of dead, stagnant energy around that, around them. And so that's why if you're around these sources and you don't have any protection, then you're gonna experience these symptoms of radiation poisoning, which
Yeah.
actually they can be flu-like symptoms. They could be insomnia, nightmares, irritability, just
I've seen like blistering and rashes. I've
yeah, right,
seen,
yeah.
yeah,
There's
I
it's
should
it's a,
tell.
it's a multitude, and then you get. Are you familiar with geoengineering and the chemtrail
Oh
spraying?
yeah, oh yeah. My
Okay.
whole page is about chemtrails. I mean, it's
Okay.
not, but I have several
Right.
highlights about it, and I talk about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the symptoms of geoengineering, and then you look at the symptoms of radiation poisoning, and there's just so many. So,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
for people that don't know, if anyone doesn't know, I mean, I think everyone probably does, but these chemtrails, they just torch us with all day long, and then in the chemtrails is metals, heavy metals, and it gets into our food, water, air, skin, and then our once it's in the food supply chain, it's over. So I just think about this, like if you were to take a pile of little tiny shards of metal and put a giant magnet over it, like the metal's going to leach onto the magnet. And if we have all these tiny little shards of metal in us, what are they going to do to us? It's like I
yeah.
feel like I'm a walking antenna in a microwave.
Right. And that's why fasting is really important, or intermittent fasting. Allow your body to chelate those, and like, zeolites. And I have a heavy metal detox that I recommend for folks. And you just got to really use the plant medicines to get those out. That'll kind of scrub those out. And fasting is really good because if you fast for a long period of time, you actually get what's called mucoid plaque out, because these
Ah,
metals can store in your small intestine, and they create like this just little black ropes. I haven't got mine out, but I've fasted for like 4 days, and like you kind of clean out your system a little bit, and so that's a good way to do it. It's just fasting and heavy metal detoxing, and that's really all we can do. Grow our own
mhm.
food and get the soil as strong as possible. But yeah, anyways, going back to the EMF sources that I think people are just accustomed to now, they just think, oh, it's just part of life. We just have wireless devices everywhere. The energy that's around those sources basically is dead, is stagnant. It's that's why you'll see a lot of times trees or shrubs or whatever not growing very well, and I think there was birds dying, and there's a lot of things that can happen if depending on where the frequencies are at, because 24 to 90 is the gigahertz for range for 5G. So it's just this whole crazy range. You never know where it's going to be at, right? But that energy that's dead and stagnant, uh, I make devices like this, especially with the radionics. See
Wait,
the
go up
blue,
more because the comments are covering it. There you go.
yeah, that you can see the blue light blinking. So I make Orgonite where that I mean I really believe strongly in this product, and because we experience the dreams and sleep every night. That's just like, wow, it's just so amazing.
Wow.
When these are under the bed, what they're doing is these are like little accumulators. They're pulling in all that surrounding dead energy,
Aha.
but then we have a lot of piezoelectric minerals, crystals, gemstones, salts, sand, a lot of things, superconductors that have the ability to transmute, transform, and balance and stabilize energy. So
How do you how do you like test that or measure that? Like,
yeah,
how do you
good
figure that out?
good question. Yeah, so there's not really any detectors for Orgone energy, for life force energy. You kind of have to look at how conductors of life force react to them. So what's a conductor of life force? Water. Water is one. Plants, humans, animals, right? So we just look at how these conductors of life force react when they're around these devices. So I've done a bunch of water freezer tests over the years where you get a little puck, just a little freebie like this I give to people, and place it in a freezer, and let it freeze for 6 to 16 hours, depending on if you're using plastic or glass, and you'll see that it forms these crazy stalactite formations and vortexes. I've noticed with the plastic cups, it creates a really crazy vortex. And then you do a control sample without these, and it's just nothing. It's just like frozen water. Just there's no structure to it.
Okay.
So that's why we make charging plates where you can rest your water on, and it'll structure the water. It'll structure any liquid, food, and we know that they structure because we see that in the water freezer test. So the water is reacting to the Orgone Energy. And then you look at, we've done plant tests. We've done amazing plant tests where we have, a raised bed and sunflower over here that has no orgonite, and then one over here that has orgonite, same amount of sun, and the sunflower with orgonite was a foot taller. And, so we've done multiple tests like that. So so a lot of grow operations and farmers have these devices scattered throughout their gardens and grow operations. So, and then you look at just humans, and animals they love gravitating towards these devices. Cats especially, they'll sleep on the bed, wherever these devices are, like under the bed. That's what I recommend, under the bed or on the ground near the bed. And the cats will, I've had multiple testimonials saying my cat always goes where the orgonite is.
That's awesome.
I've noticed bees, but it's mainly, so it's the animals, it's the water, and it's the human beings just telling me their testimonials, their stories, and how it's affecting them and making them feel more calm and peaceful and deep REM sleep and lucid dreaming. I mean, lucid dreaming, I don't know if you're lucid dreaming, but ever since we've had the radionics devices around the home, the lucid dreaming has just gone way up. And it's like every night is like this adventure where I'm just in other realms, talking with people I used to know and having these adventures. It's just like, never any bad dreams. It's just always these amazing, real, I don't know what they are. They're very mysterious, but something happens.
I seriously never dream ever.
Oh, okay.
And people say they take the zeolite that I take, and they're like, oh my gosh, my dreams have gotten so much better. This is awesome. And I'm like thrilled for them, but I'm like, yeah, over here, it's blank space over here. I'm like, I should be tested. I don't know why. I literally never dream.
That's interesting. Maybe you are dreaming, you just don't remember it.
Maybe, yeah.
Because it just goes. But the thing with these is like, you just remember them. I write them down sometimes because I'm just like, I was there with this person and this person, and what was happening there. But I can't explain it. But what I do know is that you can't really get into a vivid dreamscape unless you are experiencing deep REM sleep.
Right.
So you have to be deeply sleeping to experience that. And so that's really what we need as a society is deep REM sleep. That's a pillar of health that I think maybe is a little underestimated, because that's when we can restore our bodies and our cells and repair and feel rejuvenated for the next day. That's important. So
yeah. I wonder, have you talked much with like the injected crowd at all about your about EMFs and stuff? Have you talked to them about it? Because there's a huge correlation.
Right. Yeah, they're kind of like transmitters, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had many direct conversations with folks. Usually I have had people reach out to me saying they have family members who they'd like some products recommended for them because they went through that. And so I always recommend just this company and crafter formulator of these amazing plant-based tinctures, Native Mystic. I always recommend a certain amount of those and then some powerful orgonite as well. Because if they're transmitting frequencies like little cell towers,
then we're all in trouble.
So it's like my analogy earlier with cell towers. We want to get orgonite around them. So if they are giving off dead energy, bad energy, negative transmissions, then we want to pull that in and transmute it and repel it out. So it's
let's go back to that. Let's dream a little about the civil disobedience that
Sure.
we can do here. So so you're saying you think these orgonite towers that you make or what do you call it? Orgonite tower? I don't know what to call it.
Well, there's tower busters, basically. That's
tower busters.
That's a term, but there's been a lot of pioneers of this what's called orgonite gifting movement. And it started kind of in like the 80s, 90s when this technology was first being introduced and created. And people would just go, gift them to places that were in drought-stricken regions. And it's all just, we're all, learning from previous pioneers. And so
Right.
we're all just kind of studying their work, like Wilhelm Reich, Karl Hans Wells, Don and Carol Croft, these pioneers that came through, came before us and intuitively added things like quartz crystals that are now the main component of orgonite, because of their piezoelectric properties. When they're under the pressure of the resin and it squeezes on them, they're activating. And so, yeah, we're just doing what they, and so, but we're also adding our own intuitive stuff, So I'm adding tensor rings and then the radionic stimulation as well. And I had a thought this morning, I'm under all this pressure, and I'm sure we're all under so much pressure right now, right? Of just like, it's tax season and there's all these things, war, and I was thinking, well, pressure builds diamonds. and,
Yeah.
and the quartz crystals in here, when they're under pressure, they produce essentially orgone energy, they stabilizing life force. And so, yeah, it's we're all under pressure right now, but everyone hang in there, because we're gonna produce some amazing things from going through all this pressure and stress.
Yes, amen. I love your outlook on that because, I've yet to lose hope, and I don't, it's just, to me, like, things ending badly is just impossible. So, like, it's just like good always wins. And so it's just, that's like, it doesn't even occur to me that we're losing, because that's like, if we are, you know what I mean? Because I'm just like, it doesn't even matter. Like, we're gonna win the war. So I love that. Diamonds are made under pressure. Amen to that. So I was gonna say, so before with like these tower busters, so
Mm-hmm.
I have like dreamt about like climbing up those 5G towers and like dismantling them myself, like, and I have like my silver fiber clothing, and I'm like, and
Good.
it literally is like, it's like a black beanie, a black long sleeve shirt. I'm like, man, I look like I'm gonna go like rob a bank or something. So I always just kind of picture, I'm like, how do we seriously? And I'm like, it's probably made in China, so hopefully that means it's easily breakable, because everything is garbage that they produce. So I'm like, okay, how do we really, take this into our own hands but not get arrested? And so I love your idea of putting those or tower busters under them. But do you like, now I'm dreaming a little. So what do we like, dig a hole? Because if we just put it under there, they're gonna take it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got to dig a hole. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a little shovel I bring with me, and that there's earth pipes people make as well. It's like a copper pipe with crystals and organite inside. So that's a good thing to bury near the
Wait, so
towers
you
as well.
literally have done it?
Oh yeah, I've tower busted a lot of my county. Yeah, a lot of this. If I see, I just
So
keep
are
them
there
in my.
cameras?
Well, I go on a Sunday when no workers really. It's just kind of
Oh my
bare, and
gosh,
then
you guys, he is our hero.
no, just
Go.
it's just some active. I've been doing activism work for a lot of years. This is just something else, to feel called to do. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
you
that's
just
amazing.
act like you're on the phone. Act like you're on the phone. Like walking around near a tower. And then when you know no one's nearby, you just get down and dig and then bury it real quick and then hop back up on your phone and walk away.
So how big are the ones you're burying? Because I've seen you make some pretty huge
Yeah.
ones.
There's some. I can't reach over. They're over there on the other side of the table,
That's
but
okay.
they're about this size. Just you
And
can
that's
be.
enough to like counter.
Yeah, yeah. You can do multiple. But there's a lot of piezoelectric superconductors in here and powerful quartz crystals and salts and stuff. Just the mixture alone is powerful.
So
And
I've also heard, because I know Orgonite's not shungite.
a
Um,
lot of shungite powder in there. Yep.
oh, it is. Okay.
That
So,
shungite in every device. Yep,
oh, okay,
absolutely.
good, good. I
Yep.
was thinking they were different. So, doesn't shungite have to be recharged with sunlight?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
Oh, okay.
That could be true. But I know that shungite is definitely the staple, one of the staples along with quartz. And so we yeah, tourmalines as well. Yeah.
Cool. Someone's
Yeah.
asking how they can get Orgonite. So I'm guessing you have a link in your bio.
Yeah, yeah. I've been making organite since 2014, and making amulets for people and powerful big pyramids in your home that you could put in your living room, and then the smaller ones like these, the smaller Dream Machine equalizers. I'm just really stoked on these ones, um, because they're a little bit more affordable. I try to make pieces for every budget so everyone could experience this. and feel the energy. And so yeah, you can buy from me, and then if you have any questions, I'm happy to do a Zoom call. And we could discuss all of this, like what your situation is, what your budget is, what your needs are. Yeah. And yeah,
That's cool.
I mean, anyone can make these. It just takes a little time, and you got to be willing to, invest a little bit of money and learn how to do it. And it is you want to get a mask, so you need a ventilated place, and but yeah, the way I've been studying and making them is kind of improving every little bit every year. So I'm just trying to get them more potent to keep up with 5G, because 5G is raising the frequencies. We're like
So
frogs in
yeah,
a
okay,
boiling
that's a
pot.
great point. So explain the difference between 4G and 5G.
Well, 4G, 2G, 3G, 4G, that was the gigahertz between 2 and 6. Okay, so 2 and 6 gigahertz, and at 2.45 gigahertz, we already know from the University of Washington 1996 LIE study and the National Toxicology Report from 2018, was it? That was a $30 million study. And they both, in the Ramazzini study from Italy, they all showed that at the current system, 2.45 gigahertz, around there, it produces cancerous tumors and also breaks DNA. So that is the difference. Is we already know that those lower frequencies are breaking DNA, like the airport scanners, those millimeter wave airport scanners. They can literally break your DNA, and producing cancerous tumors from people, being next to cell towers or putting their phone on their head a lot. And so we
So it
already
just
know
like it
it's
like
bad.
damages our cells, and then the more you're around it, it goes for the damaged cells.
Yeah, the cellular communication is just scrambled, so
Right.
it produces a variety of symptoms. So so we know at 2 to 6, it's already very, very dangerous and harmful. But there now that the 5G is, and even 6G is raising between 24, 90, 95 gigahertz, is the active denial system, which is a military weapon to disperse crowds. So we're in directed energy weapon range, which is 60 gigahertz, where your oxygen absorption rate gets affected. So you can't breathe, and you get, like, breathing, flu-like symptoms. Wink,
Well, I
wink.
mean, I don't know. I've never not been able to breathe when I had the flu. That sounds worse than the flu for sure.
A little worse. Bad, real bad flu. Yeah.
Real bad, yeah. My friend is a perfect testament to exactly what you're saying. If anyone doesn't follow April, don't meddle with me as her handle, and she experienced it firsthand, and then she was explaining to everybody online, like, what was happening to her. And she has a metal plate in her eye, like she had like a shattered bone when she was younger, so she has a metal plate right here. And she was like in a little pocket of Texas that was just getting torched by 5G. And so she was like going crazy. She was like, I don't like this, I'm so sick, our whole family's sick. Her daughter, perfectly healthy toddler, could speak sentences. When she would feel the radiation pumped up, her daughter would start stuttering, and she could not speak out words after like being a normal kid, like, and it's like it's really crazy how strong it can get. And then there were thousands of testimonies from the trucker convoy in Canada and in Australia and New Zealand of people having burns and rashes, headaches, uh, runny nose, and
Yeah.
scratchy throat, and like you said, the flu-like symptoms. But like the worst of it is like these burns and these rashes that people are getting from it. And especially so many people have metal in their body from surgeries. Like that is insane, like that.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
gosh.
in Australia too, I know that they were using I forget the name of the weapons, but they are essentially like the active denial system, or I think it's a sonic weapon though. It's kind of produces this pitch sound that burns your skin. It's just like they have crazy military weapons they're using against us. That's really what people need to understand, is that there is a war against us, and it's not against certain countries. Certain countries are just military posts. That's really
Mhm.
all certain countries are, and we're all under essentially admiralty military wartime law. Where the courts are military tribunals, and that's why it's hard to get justice there. And that kind of gets into our common law discussion. I'm not sure what steps you've taken. You asked if I'm a state citizen, and I was like, well, that's kind of a tricky question. I've taken steps. What steps have you taken to do that? Are
Just
you like,
just research so far. I haven't done
okay,
anything. I've taken phone calls with people, and I am very prayerful. So I've been just praying on what I'm supposed to do exactly, and I feel like God is using me for this matrix system a bit longer. So it's definitely something down the road that I will
yeah, that's
be
good.
converting to, if you will. It's not really, it's really like, no, like it sounds, when you're researching, it sounds like so dramatic and it sounds like such a big
Yeah.
deal, but it's like literally no big deal. And like people do not care when you switch. Like there's no, at least from the people I'm talking to, they're like, yeah, like it sounds like you're like doing something important and crazy, but like no one cares. Because for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if I become an extra target if I switch? And like, I'm like getting in my
Mm,
head about it, and they're all like, yeah,
right.
no one cares. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep, keep praying and asking for guidance and wisdom on it and direction and like you are. And that's what people can do if they feel overwhelmed or lost is just pray and give up any confusion or anxiety. There's a lot of different methods. There's a lot of different teachers out there, gurus, and that are teaching different methods. And just understanding the basic concepts of what you want to do is probably the best starting point.
We
You
probably need to
want,
back up. People are going to be confused on what we're even talking about in general. So, like,
sure.
the way I explain it is like, there's the United States Corporation, and then there's the Republic of the United States, which the corporation, if you guys look at your driver's license and your social security, birth certificate, all your federal documents, if you look at it, your name, and this sounds, I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, this sounds so dumb, but all your name is in capital letters. And so is the United States. Like it is in capital letters. And it's because you're under like a fallacy, a fantasy land of a corporation. It's not the free country it once was. There was not always birth certificates and social security cards. So
Right.
it's a new system, and it was implemented to enslave us. So
Yeah.
um it's
Yeah.
so when we're saying like switch, it's like to switch back, like to break the handcuffs, to like rip up the birth certificate and be done with the system. And that's the switch. It's being a sovereign citizen under God. And I understand. And then now that I've explained it, I'm sure people are like, I have a million questions, because I did too. And it's like, how do I function in society? How do I drive a car? How do I do this? How do I have insurance? How do I have that? And I get it, but like there's an answer to it all. And so like there's a lot of steps. And if anyone in here did get the off-grid bundle, it is extensively covered in that bundle. It's
Right.
under common law of
The law of
mankind.
mankind. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
but there's also, there's also a lot of resources out there. Like YouTube has a lot of stuff on it. And it's something to definitely get informed about and just make a decision on. I would, imagine that most people that do it work for themselves, and that's just because they don't want to work for the man. So if you are someone stuck in like a 9 to 5, like you literally have to give them your social security number, and like I understand it's like a lot to understand, but there's an answer to it all. So don't get overwhelmed, just start easing into it.
Yeah. Well, there's various levels to it, and the birth certificate actually, we don't want to rip that up. We do want to understand.
Figuratively speaking.
Right. We want to understand that we can actually use that though. That's actually a security instrument that is there's trusts created around that. And the trick is getting into the creditor position to access that trust and not the debtor position. And so there's paperwork you can do that I'm working on actually right now, part of my PMA, where we're saying that we have taken all security interests, all control of that strawman entity, and we're going to make it clear, make a claim that we are the holder in due course.
Yes,
And
instead of the
so
government being in charge of you, you
right,
are in charge of you.
right, and it goes back to trust law. Everything is going back to trust law. So there's a grantor, there's a beneficiary, and there's a trustee. And what's happened is the public servants have actually switched it around. So we are acting as the trustee and they are the beneficiary, but we are the beneficiary. So it's just understanding that the system has flipped things, and once we know that, then we can do the appropriate paperwork to switch things around. So we are the beneficiary, they work for us as the trustee, and we know who they are. We know who we are. That's really what it is, what it boils down to. So you do the appropriate paperwork, you get it filed in the public at the clerk recorder or the county paper. You put the public on notice that you know who you are, and that you're taking security interest in that birth certificate. So that's kind of the basics behind it. And that birth certificate just creates an entity, a straw man entity, a legal fiction that they're making money off of. And we're saying, well, you know, I'm taking control of that because that's part of me. It's not me. You know, we're men and women, but that is part of me, and I'm taking control of it. And you can't do this anymore. You know, that's
Right.
all it is. So
And you know, I was
yeah,
like kind of like I was like, well, how do they just like respect that? Like they just do, but they do. They have to. It's legality, and
right.
the root of it is from biblical law too. So it's like
Yeah,
you can't dismiss it because like it's obvious, you know. It's like you can't own me. I own me. Like God owns me. Like you
right.
can't control me.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's fascinating.
Declarations and affidavits are powerful. So you write the appropriate ones, and then you get them filed, and then there's your evidence that you've made your claim. You know, and no one's going to come along and rebut that claim. You know, and have more evidence. You know, so yeah. So this is a it's a very layered topic. You know, so you know, just study what you can. Don't feel overwhelmed, but just maybe just start to study the birth certificate fraud. You know, the birth certificate fraud, Social Security Act. But after the Civil War,
Right.
essentially our country went in this direction that started to enslave everyone, and you know, 14th Amendment, U.S. citizen, became an employee of the corporation, and yeah, it's pretty layered. But
Yeah.
you just the bottom line is knowing who you are, and that's why natural law is important, because and knowing the hierarchy of creation is important. Of knowing, I'll just run through it real quick. You know, there's the creator, and the creator created men and women. Men and women created governments to secure their rights and you know, act as trustees, public servants, and governments created corporations. You know, corporations, municipal corporations, and then corporations created titles like resident, taxpayer, citizen, etc. So what's happening is you're way up here on the totem pole, just below the creator, but they've taken your status down to a resident or a taxpayer or a citizen, which gives them jurisdiction over you. That is the trick when we agree that we are the legal fiction on our birth certificate and that we are just a resident or a taxpayer. When we answer mail to this address as the resident or the taxpayer, we're essentially way down here on the totem pole. We're a title. We're not even a man or a woman. We have no rights. So that's why, you know, when we say, well, government treats us like, you know, we have no rights and everything, because we're agreeing that we have no rights. We're way down here. We don't know who we are. So
Yeah, well,
that's
that's part of their sick religion is our consent, handing it over willfully is like part of us, the satanic religion. It's like
they need,
they
yeah,
need
they need our
permission
consent.
from us. They need
Yes.
willingness. You know, oh, never mind. I just had a memory come in my head of some really sick stuff that I researched, and it's bad. The willingness part of it is a huge part of their
Right.
rituals and
They need our consent, and tacit agreement is one thing they use where they give us an offer, and through a movie or something, or what's called revelation of the method,
mm,
or predictive programming, and then when we don't, you know, declare that we don't consent to that, then they think we're agreeing that's what we want. You know, there's psychopaths. Excuse me.
right. Yeah. Yep.
Sorry.
Absolutely. No, you're good. Yeah, so I mean I'd be curious to see what compared research a little here. So there's so many people always when I bring up common law, which is not often, but the rare occasions I do, they love to bring up that there's this rumor that you get like a check from the government after you know you're no longer a part of the system, which I have found is a fallacy. However, I have my one friend who I spoke to that did make the switch. He's a pastor, and he did get his debts forgiven. He had over $100,000 in debt from schools, and those were forgiven.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if you've come across this similar.
Yeah, well, there's ways. Yeah, absolutely. There's ways to work it. There's ways to discharge debt. There's ways to, not voluntarily give away all of your earnings through taxes. And there's ways to do it, everything lawfully and peacefully. So we're not fighting the system. We're just figuring out ways because they always give us remedy. They require our consent for everything, and they always hide a remedy in to whatever their diabolical plans are. They just don't tell us what the remedy is, and we have to kind of find it ourselves. So that's why it helps to be autodidactic and studying. And so that's why actually that bundle, the off-grid living bundle, will really help you just become knowledgeable in so many different areas. And once things start connecting, you'll see that actually everything's really connected, intertwined. But yeah, it requires consent, and if we don't consent, then we have to basically build the world we want and get out of their system, out of their public system, and that means getting into the private. So private membership associations, unincorporated associations, where they don't have jurisdiction over us. That's key as well. So
It's hard for me, like, morally to. It's so conflicting. Like I don't want anyone to think this is like some like easy, and I mean it is definitely a viable solution in my opinion. But as someone who, like, I am still very invested in our political system currently, and I am, like I said earlier, like, I know no matter what happens, we win. And I want to win through this system because I'm like, this is some BS that we've been like dealing with for so long, that I'm so competitive in that way of like, I want to smack them down in their own, legal process way. But and that's a huge part of my heart. However, I do see like massive value in just detaching and doing the straw man thing. So that's why I was like, I have to just pray on this, because it's like such a conflict. Because like literally, if you switch, I keep saying switch, but that's just what I'm gonna call it. If you switch to this straw man lifestyle, you're not voting anymore. You're not part of that anymore. And that's where I'm like morally torn, because I'm like, damn, I want to win.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's coming out of Babylon. It's, come out of her, my people. Was that Hosea 4:6? So eventually we might have to, detach from the system, but we all are, a lot of us are still invested in the system. So it's kind of a conundrum because, I went through this myself. 2020, I had a lot of claims where I planned on suing people for not letting me in without a mask, for discriminating, for violating my unalienable rights, and pressuring me to wear medical devices just to operate in commerce. So I was planning on, suing 6 people. I had affidavits sent that I sent 6 rounds of affidavits, and I had all the laws, and I'm lining these people up to sue them. And then, I kind of had a little bit of a change of heart there, because I feel like if I were to invest all my energy, I only have so much energy during the day.
Right, exactly.
If I'm investing a lot of my energy on essentially fighting this system and demanding I get justice in a flawed and failed and corrupted system, I might have no energy in my battery at the end of the day for,
Growing your
creating
own
action.
food or doing something.
Yeah, right. For actually, instead of fighting the old withering, dying system, instead of putting my energy into that, maybe putting my energy into creating a new system and fortifying my estate. And
Also, well, actually, sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, just so I'm just saying, I know what you're going through, and I've gone through that, and so it's perfectly normal. You might be totally different. You might feel totally different about things in a year from now.
Right.
Compared to
I'm
this.
sure I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to having a new outlook. It's been such a growing journey to wake up through all this, but
absolutely.
And also, like, I don't, I guess we keep saying new system, and I don't even think that's what we could call it. It's really going back to the original way things were done, and at least from what I'm understanding out of it. But it's not like, because I have belief that due process matters, and like there's
Right.
a system that was originally in place that matters, and is was founded on God, and I think you should have be judged by like a jury of your peers, and
Right.
all that. But it's kind of like like the system changed, and it's like kind of like shaking off all the dirtiness that came with it, and just getting back to the bare bones and the skeleton that it was originally. Is so it's so I feel like it's not a new system, it's kind of like going back to how it's supposed to be.
Well, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I take what you mean, what you're saying to mean, if we look at the Constitution, we look at what's tender for payment. Silver coin, gold or silver coin is the only money, right? Okay, and we're on this, everyone is doing all these corrupt things for just a debt instrument, a Federal Reserve note. We're all just everyone's selling their souls for a piece of paper that is worthless, essentially. It's
Yeah.
just a debt instrument, so they look good on paper and their balance sheet. But and then you look at the Constitution, a trial by jury and a grand jury is in the fifth. I think it's in the Fifth Amendment. A grand jury is what we've really gotten away from. Now we have our courts are just administrative courts. You can't get any justice there. They're all part of the Bar Society, the British Accredited Registry, the judges, the prosecutors, the attorneys. They're all in the same club, just making money off of people. So it's administrative. But we need to get back. So what we need to do is get back to the roots, which is a trial by jury, using real money, and a grand jury. A grand jury, which is not the grand jury. No one is over them. Like the courts have no control over a grand jury. So that's really what, if we want to bring cases to the court, we want to convene a grand jury of our peers, a common law grand jury, and we want to use real money. You know what I mean? So we've got to get back to the basics. It's like exactly like you're saying. If we're going to use the foundational legal system that was put in place by the Constitution. But we don't have that. We're using
Right.
funny money. We got these
Yeah,
administrative
it's the
bar-run
fantasy
courts.
system. It's like
Yeah,
pretend land. It's like
right,
everybody's. It's like
right.
Monopoly. It's like, what even is
Yeah.
this?
So we're never going to get justice in these kind of courts. These
Right.
courts run by the bar, paying these filing fees, which is just debt. They see that once they see that we're doing that and we're paying with Federal Reserve notes and we're hiring attorneys, they're seeing that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea what he's doing. If we come up with 21 silver coins and we're pro se and we convene a grand jury, now we might start to get
Yeah,
justice.
like let's listen. This guy knows what's up. Yeah, that's so funny because it's true, and I think I get intimidated because it's like going to law school for yourself, but like off the map. It's like you really need to. I don't know. You can totally do the process without being super well versed in a lot of things, but like, I mean, I like to be well versed, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of information to learn in it, and I find it interesting too, like that they get so specific when you start learning about common law, which they have to, but like it's like little words like legality versus lawfulness, and like there's just like little words like that, and I'm like I talk so fast, like I slip up all the time, like I was like, I'm not cut out to talk like to represent myself.
Yeah. Right. Well, the legal system is the undoing of God's law, natural law. And so the legal system is always changing. This legal system is completely corrupt and immoral. So it's really all about lawful, understanding common law and natural law. Common law is very, very similar to natural law. If there's no victim, there's no crime. Every sentient being has unalienable rights to protect their property, their body, and not have anything stolen. It comes back to theft, and everything. So with the legal, you know, to steal from anyone. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you have to run at 12:30, right? It's 12:36. We're a little over.
Yes, I have a meeting starting in a little bit, but that was so great, and I'm so happy. We'll have to do it
Yeah.
again soon.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That was fun. And hopefully people got something out of it, understanding what Orgonite is, what Orgone Energy is, EMF, 5G.
Yeah, go to
Uh,
the link in his bio, buy some Orgonite, protect your house, and go be a little vigilante and
Tower
and
bust.
tower bust. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, if you're not really sure what to get, my site, there's a lot of information. Just send me a message. I'm happy to schedule a Zoom call, and we can talk about your situation, what you're going through, and customize something, and we can work on flipping that dead energy, helping you with your sleep and dreams and stuff. And if and yeah, study natural law, study the Hermetic principles of natural law, the hierarchy of creation. It's a good place to start, just to really know who you are again. And
Yeah.
that's what the system doesn't want us knowing, is who we are.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, thank you for your time, and everybody in the comments saying save this. I will save this. It'll be on my
Cool.
page, not on Dave's, because I started it. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for it, it will be there. But thank you for your
Right on.
time, Dave. We'll talk soon.
All right, Jackie. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.